My sister and I fought our whole lives over the family inheritance. She once drove her car into me, sending me to the hospital at midnight. In return, I secretly pulled her oxygen tube. Just when our feud reached its peak, the family suddenly went bankrupt. We were forced to declare a truce and go our separate ways to survive. 15 years later, she has become a notorious female CEO in the business world. The first thing she did upon returning to the country was smash the art studio I relied on to make a living. She personally tore up the family portrait I painted, screaming for me to get out. Come out here and fight me again, Yifan. The debt from back then hasn't been settled yet. What are you doing playing the hermit? Didn't you treat these paintings like treasures? If you don't show your face, I'll burn them all. I swung my fist at her in rage, but my hand passed straight through her body. Stunned for a long time, I suddenly realized I had died 3 years ago. These paintings were the things I left behind for her, the final gift I left for this world. This time, Yeshia returned with a massive display of power. Reporters and press crowded around her, leaving no gaps. Business moguls scrambled to meet her, but she rejected every invitation, driving straight to my art studio. It's called a studio, but it's actually just the rooftop of a decaying old building. The building was so dilapidated it didn't even have an elevator. Yeshia climbed all the way up on foot, panting heavily. Her mouth never stopped cursing. Yefan, you're so cruel. To think you'd crawl into this filthy corner. Just you wait when I find you. I'll definitely break your remaining leg. Standing at a distance, I spat on the ground toward her. I hated that I couldn't rush over and claw her face. You only climbed up once and you can't take it? All these years, I had to drag this crippled leg up and down countless times. Suddenly, a loud noise cut through my memories. With a loud thud, Yeshia kicked open the studio door. She stood before the dust-filled room, frowning with utter disgust. Is this where you live? Ye fan, back then you wouldn't even sleep on a mattress worth less than 1 million RMB. How have you fallen this low? After speaking, she slumped down into my chair, breathing slightly hard. During our life and death struggle years ago, my leg was crippled, but Yeshia didn't fare much better. Brain damage from oxygen deprivation would haunt her for life. Her heart and lung functions also suffered serious issues. To survive a few more years, she intentionally spent an astronomical amount of money to hire a professional medical team to be on standby. Truly a bunch of useless trash. I rolled my eyes, looking coldly at Yeshia, as she ordered her subordinates to ransack my studio. Too bad those people were just like Yeshia. A bunch of useless trash. Even the chamber pot under the bed was dragged out, yet they found no trace of me. Yeshia looked around, kicked an empty pill bottle, and sneered. No wonder you're living in such misery. Turns out you got hooked on something you shouldn't have. Yi Fan, in this state. You still want to fight me for the inheritance? If the Ye family fortune fell into your hands, I wouldn't be able to rest in peace even if I died. As she said this, Yeshia's eyes suddenly darkened. She seemed to recall a distant memory, the origin of the hatred between us. When she stood up, she was surrounded by a bone-chilling coldness. She scanned the room coldly. Finally, her gaze stopped at the family photo in the center of the studio. After seeing my familiar face, Yeshia couldn't contain her rage any longer. She stepped forward quickly, violently ripped it down, and tore the portrait to shreds in an instant. Do you even deserve to hang a family photo? I told you, there's no place for you in the Yi family. I don't have a younger brother like you. In this life, I only have one brother, and that is Ye Haoxian. This name, unheard for so long, left me momentarily stunned. Yeshia still wasn't satisfied. She screamed for me to get out and fight her, but the studio remained silent with no one to answer. She pulled out a lighter and flicked it, the flame waving threateningly. Yi Fan, you coward, you dare to do it, but not face the consequences. What's the point of hiding like a rat? I'm telling you, if I don't crush you in this life, I swear I won't let it go. If you still refuse to show your face, I'll take all the trash paintings in this room and burn every single one. As she finished her sentence, from a secret compartment behind the family photo, a videotape suddenly fell out. At the same time, my voice rang out from a recorder in the corner. Yeshia, if you dare touch my paintings, I won't let you off even as a ghost. Yeshia paused for a moment, then stomped on my recorder. You think these cheap tricks can scare me? Ye Fan, you really haven't improved at all. But when she looked at the videotape, she hesitated for 3 seconds before slowly pulling her foot back. Let's see what kind of tricks you're playing now. The screen lit up, revealing my pale face. The moment she saw me, Yeshia knit her brows in disgust, but the me in the video flashed a bright smile. Yeshia, it's been so many years. Why are you still alive? What a real shame. But don't get smug too soon. I've prepared a big gift for you. Wait until you finish watching, then you can go die. The scene shifted to a bedroom. I was bending over, arranging paintings. Beneath my baggy cloak, my skeletal skin and bone arms were visible, covered in needle marks. I picked up the family portrait at the top and held it up to the camera. This painting is of our family of four. I was holding Yeshia's hand, smiling shyly but happily. July 8th, 2013. The day before I was brought home. The police had busted a major case and arrested my foster parents. They said that old couple who beat and cursed me daily weren't my biological parents, but the ones who kidnapped me. They were the culprits who ruined my life. The policewoman rubbed my head pityingly, stuffing some photos into my hand. Don't be afraid, we found your real parents. Once the paperwork is done, they'll take you home. That night, I was so excited I stayed up all night. Looking at the three people in the photo, I drew a family portrait. In my imagination, there was a gentle mother, a tall father, and an older sister who would protect me and grow up with me. But when I actually returned to that house, I discovered there was already a family photo there. That photo looked exactly like what I had imagined, except there was no place for me. Father looked at me awkwardly and explained, "After you went missing, your mother was so grief-stricken she became bedridden. We had no choice but to go to the orphanage and adopt a boy around your age." Mother also hugged me, crying as she spoke. "It's okay, Yefan. You and Haoshin are both my sons. This is a compensation from God. From now on, our family will never be apart." My parents found a psychologist for me and contacted the best plastic surgery clinic to perform scar removal surgery. Ye Haochin was naturally sensitive. He was the first to discover the lash marks on my back and my broken teeth. After learning they were from my foster parents' beatings, he sobbed, holding my hand and calling out repeatedly, "Brother, I'm so sorry." Unexpectedly, there was no drama of fighting for affection or favoritism. Everyone in the house did their best to treat us both fairly. Whatever Ye Haotian had, I would have too. What Ye Haotian didn't have, my parents would get for me if I asked. Although I always felt an invisible distance, these days of being warm, fed, and loved made me feel very content. Watching this, Yeshia clenched her fists. "Ye Fan, I knew you were up to no good. Back then, our parents and Haoshin treated you so well, yet, after all these years, you still pull out that ragged painting just to spite me. Ye Fan, you're truly shameless. You don't deserve a peaceful death." Saying this, Yeshia stood up in a rage, intending to smash the tape, but just before her fist landed, she suddenly froze. Because the me in the video held up a second painting. This one was of Ye Haochin. He lay there with his eyes closed, looking peaceful, surrounded by pure white lilies. The date on the painting was June 10th, 2015, the day Ye Haotian died. I had lived 2 peaceful, warm years in the Ye house. My broken teeth were replaced, my burns healed, and the old, tangled scars were slowly fading away. Just when I thought everything was going well, Ye Haochin committed suicide. Before he died, he left a suicide note. Every word was an apology to me. Only then did I realize that for 2 years, Ye Haochin had been suffering from cyberbullying. Unscrupulous media outlets seeking views had intentionally fabricated a real versus fake young master drama. They said Ye Haochin's biological parents ruined my life, so why should he get to take my place and live such a comfortable life? Enduring 2 years of cyberbullying and seeing the horrific scars all over my body, the guilt finally crushed that kind-hearted boy. She was so kind, she chose death to atone. I remember a line in his suicide note that went like this: "When my books were torn to shreds, when dead rats appeared in my drawer, I thought about going home to talk to my parents and sister. But seeing you, I couldn't say a word. What I'm going through isn't even a fraction of what he suffered. I shouldn't burden my parents and sister anymore, let alone steal the affection that belongs to him." So, on a quiet night, Ye Haochin silently ended his own life. He really was too kind. Before he died, he left everything he had to me. Even fearing he might disturb everyone's rest, he didn't make a single sound. When morning came and mother saw Ye Haochin's body, she broke down sobbing, her spirit completely shattered. Father's hair turned white too. After just one night, he looked like he had aged 10 years. As for Yeshia, she poured all her resentment onto me. She grabbed me by the hair, beat me until I collapsed before Ye Haochin's memorial photo, and kept questioning me. Why? Why did you do it? Haochin was such a gentle and kind person. After you stepped foot into this house, he was always patient, always walking on eggshells. Why did you still push him to his death? I didn't know how to explain because I didn't understand why he committed suicide either. When I had 3 ribs broken and was locked in a pigsty, I never thought of death. When I resisted that old creep at the east end of the village and got my teeth knocked out, I never thought of death. Even when my foster parents starved me for 3 days and nights, I still caught rainwater to drink, caught rats to eat, and found every way to keep living. Yet, Ye Haochin was so scared by a dead rat that he committed suicide. Why? He should have stuffed that dead rat into the mouths of those people and torn them apart instead. But Yeshia wouldn't listen to a word. She was hell-bent on killing me to pay for Ye Haotian's life. In that critical moment, I kicked her in the stomach. From then on, we became sworn enemies. Those years of hardship forged in me a will to live stronger than most. To me, Being alive is the most important thing in the world. Whenever anyone threatens my life, I will resist without the slightest hesitation. Just like when my foster parents tried to beat me to death over a 1 billion dong bride price, I didn't hesitate to call the police and escape. I got out. Similarly, when Yeshia pushed me down the stairs, I didn't hesitate at all to secretly put rat poison in her food. Yeshia was taken to get her stomach pumped. On the way to the hospital to see her, father died in a car accident. Mother suffered another mental breakdown and grew more unstable. She had to be sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. The IA family was completely ruined from then on. Yeshia hated me to the bone. She said through gritted teeth, "Ye fan, just you wait. Once I inherit the Ye estate, I'll hire someone to kill you." I knew rich people could hire assassins, but I didn't want to die. I had no choice but to fight back. I fought until the Ye family went bankrupt and both Yeshia and I were left with nothing. After reading Ye Haoxin's words on Yeshia's cold face, a glimmer of warmth finally appeared. But I knew that warmth wasn't for me. Regardless, she finally sat down to watch the last painting. This painting was of me, a 28-year-old Ye fan hugging his 8-year-old self. The date was May 19th, 2022, the day I received my cancer diagnosis. Yeshia went abroad to make a living. Not long after, mother passed away from a severe illness. Before the end, she had a brief moment of clarity. She left a private savings she would kept for years to me and Yeshia, a sum of money enough for us to live without worries, along with a jewelry box she cherished most. She used her pale hand to stroke my cheek, smiling helplessly. "Ye fan, I know none of this was your fault. Promise me one last thing. Forgive your sister, okay?" I didn't answer then. After thinking for a long time, I finally decided to transfer the money to Yeshia. She needed funds to protect herself abroad. She had to live so she could keep fighting me. Watching this, Yeshia was stunned for a moment, speaking in disbelief. "That money was transferred by you?" Back then, I begged every relative and friend, but everyone avoided me like the plague. No one would lend me money. I thought... She was speechless regarding that money. After a long daze, her face darkened again. "Ye fan, don't think using this money can clear everything you owe me. If not for you, why would the Ye family have ended up destroyed?" I gave a mocking sneer and gestured around the Yeshia's head. "Who cares about your forgiveness? I just love mother too much." I loved her so much, I couldn't bear to let her things fall into anyone else's hands. As more time passed, I noticed many abnormal signs in my body. The pain kept me from sleeping, I vomited for no reason, and my hair fell out in clumps. Large bruises kept appearing on my body. I just thought it was a lingering effect from the beatings I took as a child, so I didn't care. Until one time while painting outdoors, I fainted by the roadside. After a passerby took me to the hospital, I found out I had cancer. The doctor looked at my collar, which had been washed until it frayed. The old woman sighed softly. "Late-stage stomach cancer. If you have money, you can receive maintenance treatment. If you don't, treatment doesn't have much meaning anymore." By then, Yeshia had achieved some success. She didn't lack money and could easily afford to prolong my life. I hesitated for a long time, but ultimately chose to delete her number. I stayed in the studio to paint this last piece. I didn't want to bow to her or admit defeat. My life was destined to be lonely. No family, no friends. Born with nothing, dying with nothing. Not bothering anyone is enough. Watching this, my voice rang out in the tape again. "Yeshia, when you see this tape, it means I'm no longer in this world. These words are what I'm leaving for you. It's also the final gift I have for you. Actually, there's one more thing at the bottom of my art box. It's a secret that only you can go and get." Yeshia was silent for a long time, then suddenly stood up. She dashed toward my bedroom. Along the way, she knocked over tubes of hardened paint and toppled the easel I had set up. But when she actually opened the art box, she immediately stood frozen to the spot. It was a toy snake. It popped out with a boing and landed right at Yeshia's feet. After regaining her composure, Yeshia turned her embarrassment into rage. She viciously kicked my art box across the floor. "Ya fan, you bastard! I knew it. I knew it was all your lies. A guy as obsessed with living as you? How could you leave all your money to me and just go die? I actually wasted a few tears on your lies. You really are unforgivable." After saying that, Yeshia still wasn't satisfied. She stomped on the art box a few more times. She screamed for the bodyguards to burn all my paintings. No, not just the paintings. Burn this whole house down for me. Anything that belongs to Ye Fan. Not a single pencil or a strand of hair is to be kept. Looking at Yeshia jumping around in rage, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Luckily, I'm dead now. Yeshia can't hear a thing. Otherwise, she would definitely rush over and punch me a few times. Actually, I didn't just want to use a toy snake to scare her. In my original plan, I intended to raise a venomous snake and find the right chance for it to bite Yeshia. Pity I didn't live long enough for that. I also didn't want to involve another innocent life. After all, even the snake is innocent. The subordinates looked at each other in confusion. Just as they received the order to act, Yeshia stopped them. This blind, useless woman finally saw the jewelry box hidden at the bottom of the paint box. She leaned down to pick it up, gently wiping away the dust. This is Mother's jewelry box. Could it be everything Yefan said was true? One could see Yeshia was caught in an internal struggle. For a moment, her hand tightened around the box as she said through gritted teeth, "The same trick. And you think you can fool me twice? Yefan, you're so stupid. I won't fall for it again." With that, Yeshia prepared to throw the jewelry box away. But in the moment she swung her arm, she seemed to remember something. She hesitated for a bit, then quietly pulled her hand back. She carefully wiped the dust off the box, her tone betraying an indescribable sense of hurt. "This was Mother's favorite jewelry. There's no way she would leave it to you. You thief, you must have stolen these things. Just you wait when I find you. I'll definitely skin you and break your hands." Despite her words, Yeshia couldn't stop herself from opening the jewelry box. There wasn't much inside except for some earrings Mother often wore, her necklace, her wedding ring, and 3 small longevity locks. The 3 locks were engraved with the names Ye Fan, Ye Xia, and Ye Heotian. Among them, Ye Xia's and Ye Heotian's were still as shiny as new. But the one with my name was worn down until the engraving was blurry. It was clear that in the days after I left, Mother had stroked this longevity lock countless times. Remembering the days our family was still together, she never forgot me, and she never hated me. Until her final moments, she still hoped my sister and I could let go of the hatred and live a good life. Too bad I can't do that anymore. Thud. Further down was a thick stack of my medical records. Every single word recorded the painful days of fighting cancer. The doctor was right. For late-stage cancer, treatment was meaningless. All the medicine and chemo were just to soothe the heart-wrenching pain. The little money I made from the studio was basically all poured into medical bills, but it was like a drop in the bucket. It had no effect in the final days of my life. Every night I tossed and turned in agony. Regular medicine no longer worked. I could only bang my head against the wall over and over, hoping to ease the pain, even wishing I could just die and get it over with. Once I really couldn't take it anymore and climbed onto the balcony to jump. But the moment I stepped one foot out, Mother's smile and Yeshia's hateful face suddenly appeared before my eyes. I didn't want her to just live her life free and easy. I had to have my revenge. So I gathered all my sketches and drafts, laboriously setting up an art exhibition that no one would ever see. To me, it didn't matter if the world saw it or not. As long as Yeshia saw it, that was enough. Just as I predicted, Yeshia was terrified by that thick stack of medical records. She couldn't believe it, flipping through them over and over. "How can this be? Yifan, you're lying to me, right? These records look real, but I won't be fooled. They say bad people live forever. You can't be dead. Get out here right now." As soon as she finished speaking, the sound of a door opening echoed from outside. Yeshia looked out joyfully, but then her brows furrowed. "Who are you?" Yeshia asked irritably. "What's your relationship with Ye Fan? Where is he hiding? Speak up!" An elderly neighbor lady walked in, glancing at Yeshia with reproach and dissatisfaction. "You're Ye Fan's older sister, right? Ye Fan told me I had to give this to you." After saying that, she went into her house and brought out a crate filled with sketches. Unlike the meticulously framed paintings from before, these were rough and yellowed. The brushstrokes were incredibly messy, but this rough, messy crate of sketches perfectly recorded my short life. The neighbor looked at Yeshia and sighed helplessly. I have to say, that boy Ye Fan was truly too pitiful to catch that disease at such a young age. When he first got the diagnosis, we neighbors discussed raising money for him. But no matter what, he refused to take it. He even returned the tuition money from before. The boy was so pitiful, but he had a very good heart. Before he left, he told me that if one day a beautiful woman came looking for him, I should say these words to her, and if no one came, he asked me to help bury him. At this point, the lady's tone turned accusatory. "You really are something. A rich, big boss like you, yet when your own brother dies, you don't even bother to come see him." Once, I heard people say Yefan's illness wasn't incurable. He just had no money and couldn't bear the cost. Yeshia stood stunned for a long time, staring blankly out the window, her mouth constantly mumbling, "No way. This is impossible. How could Yefan be dead? And why didn't he have money for treatment? That jewelry box Mother left him? Selling just one piece would have been enough for the treatment." After saying that, Yeshia realized, if I had wanted to sell that jewelry, why would I have crawled into this ruined attic and opened a tiny art studio just to scrape by? I really couldn't bear to. Yeshia turned away, looking lost. "Everyone says Yefan is dead? Fine, then where is his grave?" "There is no proper grave. Yefan instructed us to just find any spot to bury him. We didn't have much extra money ourselves. We pooled what we could and buried him in the wasteland behind the mountain." Hearing this, Yeshia suddenly stood up, pushed everyone aside, and ran outside in a panic until a cold wind snapped her back to reality. She looked up with confusion and fear. The wasteland behind the mountain was a place where people rarely set foot. There was only a small earthen mound sitting lonely among the weeds. Long branches swayed incessantly in the wind, as if silently mourning. Yeshia is such an idiot. Even at this point, she still refused to believe the truth that I was dead. She began digging at the mound with her hands, mumbling, "No, it's impossible. I don't believe you're dead. After all these years, we haven't even settled who won or lost. How can you be dead? Get up! Wake up, you bastard! Why did you leave me behind? To die all alone?" The bodyguards who followed intended to step in and help, but after seeing Yeshia's state, they all stood frozen in their tracks. It turned out that, without anyone noticing, tears were already streaming down Yeshia's face. She looked like she'd gone mad, sitting dazed before my grave for a long time. One moment she was crying, the next laughing, then pointing at my grave and cursing. Not until the sun began to set did she stumble to her feet. "Investigate for me. Find out everything Yefan went through these past years. I want every detail." The subordinate took the order and pointed to the crate of sketches. "And what should we do with these?" "Bring them to my house." After returning home, Yeshia, trembling, pulled out her lighter. Perhaps the recent shock was too much for her body to handle, or perhaps it was for some other reason, but she had to flick it several times before it lit. She tried to stay calm, but as she flipped open a painting, she burst into uncontrollable sobs. Finally, she remembered the distant truth she had buried in her heart. The year I went missing, I was 18. Yeshia was 12. A 12-year-old girl is at that mischievous age. While playing with friends, she discovered an abandoned playground. Fearing their parents would scold her, she dragged me along to explore with them. She played so hard she left me behind. By the time I woke up, my hands and feet were tied, and I was stuffed into a pitch-black car. The car rattled along for a long time to a household in the countryside. Here, there were no new clothes, no toy cars, no loving parents, and no sister to comfort me anymore. They called me Dog Egg. They said they only picked me up to make me work. I cried, they hit me. I was hungry, they hit me too. If I said I missed home, they hit me even harder. Gradually, I was beaten into a state of constant terror. I only knew how to work myself to death, cautiously trying to survive. Painting became the only outlet for my suffering. At first, I used sticks to draw on the ground. Later, I started going to the trash to pick up old notebooks and scrap paper people threw away, or stubs of pencils worn down to the end. Later, when I was brought back to the Ye house, my parents asked what I wanted. I thought for a long time before I dared to say I wanted a piece of paper to draw. So, they gave me an entire art studio, so I could express the thoughts I couldn't speak, the things I craved but couldn't have. I drew them all on paper. In my final moments, I wanted to paint a complete family portrait. With me, with Sister Shia, with our parents, and with Ye Haochen too. But I truly had no strength left. My skeletal hands, nothing but skin and bones, could no longer hold a brush, no matter how hard I tried. I eventually just coughed up blood that soaked the paper. Years passed, and that bloodstain dried. That unfinished painting became the final work of my life. The paper, now yellowed, brought back all the memories. Buried deep in our hearts, we remembered the source of all the tragedy. It was actually Yeshia. After one shock after another, Yeshia couldn't take it anymore. She coughed up blood right onto the painting. The two bloodstains overlapped, creating a picture of sorrow and despair. The loud noise attracted the housekeeper from downstairs. Seeing Yeshia collapse on the floor, the maid was startled and rushed to help her up. "Miss, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell again? I'll call Dr. Lee right now." "It's all because of that damn Yifan." Clearly from the same bloodline, yet he was so cruel to his own sister. Truly, heaven and earth won't tolerate him. Someone like him should have died sooner. If not for him, the Ye family wouldn't be in this state today. These words were things Yeshia had heard and even said a thousand times. But today, when they reached her ears, they were as piercing as a knife. Was the one who destroyed the Ye family really Yefan? No, it wasn't. It was herself. Yeshia's tears fell uncontrollably. Could it be? It wasn't like that? No, it wasn't his fault. The one at fault is me. It's because I was too busy playing that I lost Yefan. It's because I was afraid of being punished, that I didn't dare admit my mistake to our parents. That's why Yefan missed the golden window to be found. All these years, I've been lying to myself. As time passed, I actually forgot the past. I pinned all the blame on Yefan, forgetting the real culprit who destroyed our home. It was my forgotten memories. Through these paintings, surfacing once again before her eyes, she saw the beatings and abuse I endured for all those years. She saw the sorrow and helplessness in my heart. In those paintings, there was no resentment, only deep longing and a fierce will to survive. After saying these words, Yeshia seemed to have exhausted all her strength. Her whole body collapsed to the floor. Not knowing the truth, The maid thought Yeshia was just shocked by something and hurried to call the doctor. When the family doctor arrived to examine her, Yeshia, who was in a daze, suddenly grabbed his hand and kept asking, "Dr. Lee, is cancer very painful?" Dr. Lee was stunned for a moment. "Yes, but Miss Ye, your health is perfectly normal. Vomiting blood was just because you were too emotional. It has nothing to do with cancer. You don't need to worry about that." But Yeshia acted as if she didn't hear, continuing to press for the cause of cancer. They say the stomach is the organ of emotion. If someone lives in a sad, repressed environment for too long, are they prone to getting sick? Dr. Lee nodded seriously. From a medical standpoint, yes. But the causes of cancer are complex, especially stomach cancer. Irregular eating, unhealthy lifestyle, any of these could be the cause. Right, that's right. He suffered so much abuse since he was a child. His health was already weak, yet I still bullied him. All of this is my fault. It's my fault. I harmed Yefan. I harmed the whole Yi family. It was me. It was all because of me. Yeshia was immersed in ultimate sorrow, mumbling in self-reproach. Dr. Lee guessed the root of the matter. He seemed to want to comfort her, but after hesitating, he could only sigh. "Miss Ye, the dead cannot return. You should take care of your own health." A bitter smile appeared on Yeshia's lips. She closed her eyes in total despair. "Everyone is gone. The Ye family is no more. Now I'm the only one left alone in this world. What's the point of me living on alone?" I sat on the stairs, right where Yeshia had once pushed me down. My legs swung, but for some reason, my heart felt heavy, a mix of satisfaction from revenge, and an indescribable emotion as I watched Yeshia's broken soul. I couldn't help but mutter, "Serves you right." A fool like Yeshia deserved to shoulder all the pain and torment while lingering on in this world. To her, death would be a mercy. Living on is the true eternal damnation. Since that day, Yeshia grew weaker by the day. She let go of the past and her hatred, leaving only utter remorse. She moved my remains next to our parents in a high-end, incredibly expensive cemetery. Nestled against the mountains and facing the river, it was the final resting place for our whole family. Yeshia pointed to the empty plot next to it and said that spot was reserved for her. But Yefan, I really don't know if I even have the face to go meet everyone anymore. Every day, Yeshia would come to my grave and sit for a while. Sometimes she'd trim a few flowers or grass by the headstone. Other times, she'd reminisce about happy childhood memories. She seemed to have forgotten our bitter rivalry, forgetting the wounds we once inflicted on each other. In her eyes now, we were a close-knit family, the two closest siblings in the world. Until one day, Yeshia suddenly fell gravely ill. After recovering, she could miraculously see me. She rubbed her eyes in disbelief. "Ye Fan, is it really you? Have you been doing well all these years?" I smiled and shrugged indifferently. "I'm fine. I'm dead, aren't I? Before the cancer, I desperately wanted to live. No matter how pathetic or miserable that life was, at least while there's life, there's hope. But after the diagnosis, the torment of the disease made me just want an early release. Looking back, although I died a bit young, at least I got my wish. My life wasn't actually too bad." Yeshia said she wanted to atone and asked me what she should do. I tilted my head and thought for a moment. "Organize an art exhibition for me. I spent my whole life painting, yet no one saw them even at my death. It's quite a shame." Yeshia agreed with a raspy voice. She mobilized all her connections to organize a grand exhibition for me, exposing my entire life truthfully before the world. Public opinion was divided. Some felt sorry for the Ye family's tragic end, while others condemned Yeshia for being cold-blooded. But no matter how people judged her, she accepted it all without explanation or justification. She just endured in silence. On the day the exhibition ended, I asked her, "Yeshia, why have you become such a coward?" Yeshia was silent for a long time before telling me, "During that fever, I dreamed of Mom, Dad, and Haoshin. They scolded me, saying I shouldn't have bullied you. They also said you were still lingering in this world, refusing to reincarnate because you still have an obsession. Yefan, I don't know what your obsession is, but I want to atone. If you're still not satisfied, I can offer my death as an apology. I'll do anything, as long as you forgive me. My mother's dying wish was my obsession. She wanted me to forgive my sister, let go of the hate, and live well. I can't live anymore, but Yeshia can." Looking at the tears on the corners of Yeshia's eyes, I smiled from the bottom of my heart. "Live well. If you can, live my portion of life too." As I spoke, I felt my soul gradually fading away. I waved goodbye to Yeshia one last time, then walked away without looking back toward the infinite horizon.